you're also a cheese expert. You're a regular writer of a cheese-focused column in Specialty Food Magazine. What cheese trends are you seeing on the show floor?
Well, yeah, cheese is my beat these days. I have a new project called Planet Cheese. In addition to the column that I do for Specialty Food, I write a weekly email newsletter, complimentary newsletter called Planet Cheese. So I'm always out there looking for trends. And one thing that's so exciting is, in addition to all the wonderful domestic cheeses that we're seeing, the imports are just unbelievable. We're seeing just incredible cheeses coming from all over Spain, from Belgium, which is a place we almost never saw cheeses from before, from Germany. And it's fun to be here at the food show because it's the place where you get to see everybody in one place at once. The Hostettlers from Switzerland with their magnificent Swiss cheeses that they bring to us. So these are things we didn't have 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And then, of course, on top of that, the American artisan movement is just on fire. And I just this morning was speaking with a young man who's starting a sheep dairy in Central California. And I actually think these sheep milk dairies and sheep milk products, sheep cheese, sheep yogurt. This is we're starting to see it happen here, and I couldn't be happier because those are my favorites. Sheep cheeses. He was making some sheep cheeses in Central California.
Would you say you're expecting the sheep cheeses to pick up a bit in 2015?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. They are a challenge because we don't have a lot of dairy sheep in this country, so you have to build up the flocks of dairy sheep. They are very stingy milk producers, so you have to figure out the economics of it. But I think there's a niche. I think there are people willing to pay for that. I just tasted a sheep butter at the show yesterday. It's going to be very pricey, but for a special occasion butter, when you just want your guests to sit up and take notice that, hey, that butter is really something special, it's a nice product. And he also the same person who was making the sheep butter, a company called Sierra Nevada Cheese in California, was making a new feta, a sheep and goat blend feta, which is the traditional Greek approach, about 70% sheep, 30% goat. And we haven't had those here in the U.S. because we haven't had the sheep's milk.
You've actually written a few books on cheese pairings with wine, beer, and I think you've done some work on cider pairings as well. What's sort of your approach in pairing cheese with different beverages?
Well, I'm just getting into the cider thing because I've noticed that it's a booming trend. There are a lot of these little regional cider makers getting going. So I'm just starting to explore cider and cheese, but it, of course, has an ancient lineage in places like Normandy and England. So I know that there are going to be some wonderful matches there. Beer was just the most fun adventure. I've been really took a deep dive into beer starting 3 or 4 years ago and have been so excited by how well it goes with cheese and how well it goes with cheeses that wine struggles with. So, for me, it's not an either-or thing. I welcome both into my life, but beer is an easier match for most cheeses, and I think it's partly because there's a bigger range of flavors in beers than in wine. There's a huge range of alcohols. You have those malty flavors that are beautiful with the buttery and nutty aromas in cheese. So I just think a lot more aromatic harmony there. But on the other hand, wine has tannin, which really cuts through the fat in cheese. So each of these palate experiences it just wakes up your palate a little bit. The fun thing about it, this isn't brain surgery. It's just fun, and it wakes up your palate so that you start paying more attention to the things that you taste. I would say that from doing these books on cheese and wine and cheese and beer, I just think more when I put something in my mouth. I just pause and think, what am I tasting? What am I smelling? And it just enhances your enjoyment of something we do 3 times a day.
Do you see any other cheese pairings on the horizon?
Well, I see some that, where I know I'm not going down that path. One is cheese and chocolate. I just don't get that one. And I'm not a spirits drinker, so I know a lot of people are playing around with cheese and cocktails, cheese and whiskey, and it's not I'm not going to go there. It's not something I drink. I can imagine some nice pairings between a single malt and a big robust cheddar, but it's not something that would captivate me.
What do you see consumers sort of being drawn to these days in the realm of cheese?
Well, I think they're drawn to local, for sure, and that's why, compared to, say, 30 years ago, we now have cheese being made in, I think, almost every state in the country, and in some places that you wouldn't imagine, like Utah, and it's so everybody has a local cheese or more. Farmers markets have given these local cheeses a chance to build a market and to shine and introduce themselves and get some feedback. And I think consumers are supporting local cheeses. Another huge trend is do it yourself. People want to make cheese. They want to make mozzarella. They want to make burrata. They want to make ricotta. And I know that I don't personally teach those kinds of classes, but I know that these classes sell out very quickly. There's some books coming out on this subject. People just, it's part of that whole DIY trend. People want to give it a try. And I think that's exciting. And I think what the people are going to realize is that it's very hard to make cheese at home as good as what you can buy. So I don't know how long that trend will last, but it's just wonderful to keep people focused on milk and the importance of supporting local dairies, because we can't have the cheese without the milk. And a lot of, there's been a huge consolidation of dairies in most parts of the country, and small dairies have had a hard time. So if consumers, by virtue of trying to make their own cheese at home, if they become more aware of the small dairies in their region and the importance of supporting these small dairies, I think that's a really good outcome, even if they don't keep making cheese at home.